Craig Madarasz for Johns Hopkins and Jake Withers for Ohio State. Blue Jays in the white, Buckeyes in the red, underway here today from Homewood Field. And the opening faceoff won by the Buckeyes here to start.
You watch Withers at the faceoff X with the ball right here. He is a scrapper.
Shot over the cage, that time by Chris Mahoney.
Division I lacrosse game, Birmingham, Alabama. It just tells you about the growth of lacrosse.
Well, you and I talked about that before the game. You had pointed that out, and that's what Nick Myers and his staff has really done. They have recruited all over the country to kind of field this team.
Yeah, they'll go up to British Columbia. Jesse King, their superstar from a year ago. Turner Evans, another Canadian who graduated.
Tough schedule. They've been right in there, though, with 5 losses in a row. I mean, Coach Myers not looking for any sympathy. I mean, they played some tough teams. Bounce shot here on the way by JT Blumbaugh.
Withers 18 in red. Watch him scrap even when he doesn't win the initial draw.
He was 9 of 15 at the faceoff last week. Well, next this one up here, and here he goes. Look out, Withers. Got it knocked away from behind. Still at Ohio State for the time being, and now we got a loose ball here. Walking, if the doctors had not caught this, he had surgery at Union Memorial, was in there for 18 days, and is walking a little bit now, as you saw, but it's been day to day. He's been doing a lot of work from the hospital and then trying to help out with head coach Bill Dwan, or associate head coach Bill Dwan, who took over for Coach Petramala in the last 4 games. Did a really nice job, and now he's back here, and as Brock Turnbaugh makes a save.
Offensive player in a bad spot. Continue to ride him out and make sure you're pressuring, because when they're above the goal line extended, you're just a split second away from ripping it like that, what Pearson did. So if you're the...
And a violation at the faceoff. And that's the second on Johns Hopkins here in this game today. 6-0 in favor of the Buckeyes, winning the faceoffs here to start. Mike Cor.
And ultimately the offense too, because this is an offense, some high volume shooters like Ryan Brown, you want him getting 8 to 9, upwards to 12 shots a game to get into a flow, and when you don't have the ball, it's not happening.
You're right, they didn't have that, Kark. I mean, their percentage is unbelievable. It's 100%, 2 for 2 for Johns Hopkins, but Ohio State was able to take 10 versus Rutgers last Saturday. Ohio State, same thing versus Penn State. Both teams are going to get some better looks and better shots on cage here today. The faceoff X, Matt Ledwin for Johns Hopkins, just his 3rd one that he's taken so far this year as they change things up. And the Blue Jays will get it.
The wherewithal to kind of know where you are on the offensive end to stick it.
And a flag flies here. And another violation. What do you think some of the extra skills are that they get from that? Why do they have a little bit more than some of the others?
They can take a beating. These box lacrosse players are used to really being in a tight spot and getting whacked. So with pressure on their gloves, they can still get a shot off, can still make a pass. And then it's the wrist too. You saw it in the pass set. So in 1-goal games, that's it right there. That's the difference.
Take one of the guys, and Johnny Pearson today for Ohio State. I mean, he's an example of that. Had 8 shots last game, no goals. Today he already has 2 goals. And trying to change things up. Good win here by the Blue Jays in the faceoff. Craig Madarasz is back in there taking that one now today, but all of a sudden.
Where's all the alum, though? You know, shame on my brother Brian Carcaterra, 2000 graduate. Too cold for him. Too cold for Jesse Schwartzman. These goalies from Hopkins, prima donnas.
Blue Jays being called out here today by Carcaterra. Here's a feed in front, and
it's because, Mike, they're so accustomed to playing that half-field offense. When they can strike, they have to maximize that.
That's an excellent point, Kark, about Mahoney. Senior defenseman, actually leads the team in cause turnovers, but then does stuff like that, like you said, in transition, and helps feed the offense. As that goal took just 11 seconds between goals that we've had here so far. Now it's 6-4. One of the top players in the country and picking up ground balls as well and gaining the possession for his group. And that's one thing, I guess, as a defense against Ohio State, Kark, that you've really got to be aware of, because like you said, sometimes in the offensive setting.
Months. But I'll tell you what, he is one tough guy.
Oh, yeah.
Dave Petramala.
The first to tell you all the time with no excuses, doesn't matter, we just got to get it done. And that's just what's so admirable about what they do in this group, in this organization. And it doesn't matter what's happening. They seem to find, that's for sure, over 50% as Johns Hopkins leads it, and a flag flies here. Another face-off violation. That's the fourth of this first half.
Tenders being spot on and being into a flow. They're not accustomed to that quick little trigger right at the half.
And Johns Hopkins here winning this face-off, though, initially. And a push on Ohio State, so they'll retain 9 and Ohio State 6. And Wilkins to Smuke with his 15th goal of the season. And the guy that they need to kind of take a little bit of the pressure off a guy like Shaq Stanwyck, you know, in that attack group there with him and Brown. And now all of a sudden you have to be concerned with all of them.
Well, you got to sprinkle a little Kyle Marr and Wilkins to Smuke, and like Frazier on the left side and Brown on the right. So defenses, especially when you're man down, you're respecting that. But that backside and the guys lower to the pipes are always going to be open.
And a hold here is called on Ohio State. And now a flag flies. Moreland, Hunter Moreland, knocked out of his stick. And a penalty coming up on the Buckeyes. We'll get the call. All of a sudden, Pearson is just going off. Has really been the one guy today that now you understand you can't let free.
And he's been pulling up from 12. I mean, he's not trigger shy.
I mean, think about this. Pearson is 4 of 7 shooting today. The rest of the team is 3 of 13. And now in front as Carey gets a save. Stanwyck.
Restraining box, restraining box. From a college standpoint, he's the guy, I think, for Ohio State that gives them a different dimension defensively because of what he does when he has the ball.
2 goals, 23 seconds apart for Ohio State. They win the faceoff. Withers against Hunter Moreland for Johns Hopkins. And
it looked like it was really close from getting out of reach. The Buckeyes just kept on grinding.
You're right, it was for a moment there. Then they had to really go on the offensive, and they have. They scored 3 in a row with Pearson, Mahoney, and Fennell. And now trying to pick this ground ball up here and a chance to tie it. We'll see who's going to get it. Ryan Brown again taking on all comers.
Goalie saves that because you start high and then he bounces. What does every goalie do once that ball hits the ground? Starts to lean down and then he sticks it back up. Incredible.
Ohio State is going to win the faceoff here, though. Big play by them. Opportunity now to get one back, and they do, and it's Eric Fennell.
If this one goes in too. Back and forth. And I'll tell you what, man, Ohio State's been knocked a few times this season as playing slow. I don't think they're playing slow. These guys are going after it. When they have an opportunity in transition, they hit. And I think they're 6-on-6 half.
Had to play fast now, being down by 4 goals.
And last week, too, they had 40 shots. I mean, 40 shots is a lot of shots. Only scored 5. It's been their shooting and their inability to can shots that's kind of plagued them. But this is turning out to be an awesome fourth quarter.
Absolutely, an outstanding game coming up on the fourth here in just a little bit. Just over. Maybe get a couple smiles there now, but hey, get right back to play because we've seen the goals in less than 15 seconds multiple times here today. Right after the faceoff. And Freddie Freibach, good job to come up with that one there.
He's got a handle for
Ohio State.
He's got a nice handle.
Really good defensive group for this Buckeye team. He's just a sophomore. And
that's one of the reasons, Mike, why they're so good at clearing. They lead the nation in clearing.
Today, with this goal to make it a 1-goal game at 12-11. Just over a minute left in the third. Withers up against Craig Madarasz for Johns Hopkins, and Johns Hopkins picks it up. Austin Spencer able to feed it back for Patrick Foley.
So these guys are familiar with their system. They speak the same language, and they've done an incredible job, the 2 assistants, when Petramala was out.
Fourth quarter underway here today from Baltimore. Third quarter shooting, Ohio State 6 of 10, Johns Hopkins 4 of 10. And the Buckeyes will have it here, and a chance to tie it at 12.
Gene up the formations, and that was a funky little 3-3 where Brown was higher and drawing the defense to him, and then those 2 offset kind of top wing guys one of them is going to be open. It was Crawley.
Man, you can't forget about Crawley. I mean, one of the captains.
If they win the face-off and potentially have a matchup.
Oh, instead it's Craig Madarasz that wins a huge face-off over Jake Withers of Ohio State. They haven't won too many today, but that one was obviously the biggest with a